Hello, true duelists. My name is Craig Fee, and welcome to the New Card Report, the series I make sporadically in accordance with whenever the OCG side of Konami decides to reveal the cards from the newest set, which, as it so happens to be the case, is usually 6 things in one day. Love game. Yes, Duelist Nexus, the green set of Series 12? We might be on 13 now, I think 12. Either way, it's the one with Duelist in it, and it's green. It's the beginning of the next wave, which means we get a new summoning mechanic? Occasionally, that's not really guaranteed, but it is the source of new things, like, say, types. That's right, Cyberse is no longer the new type, the new kid on the block. Now it goes to Illusionist. Granted, the term illusionist is a fanslation as it is not an official term. So remember that when these are printed in the TCG, if that term changes at all. That annoying fuckhead who's like, I'm only calling it branded maiden, brandish maiden's the only thing I'm referring to it as, is as stupid as he is annoying. And illusionist is not any official term, it's just the current approximation, okay? But with that blight on the community moved on from, of course, this all comes in the form of nostalgia support, because yet another one of Yugimoto's monsters that had like one-off, 3 cards in his deck, well, now that becomes an entire archetype. And if anyone here tells me about the Phantom Beast archetype, I don't believe you. I'm gaslighting you and I'm retconning that archetype out of existence. So, enjoy. Starting first with Gazelle, King of Mythical Claws. This one is a retrain of the classic vanilla Gazelle, King of Mythical Beasts. This one is of course not of the new type because it has to be of reference to the original, hence why it's a level 4 beast with 1500 attack and 1200 defense. But this one has effects, namely on summon, it adds a level 5 Fiend monster or a copy of Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, and if it's sent to the grave as fusion material, it will add an Illusionist type monster from your deck to your hand as well. Not too shabby a start. Stratos plus an extra search if it goes to the grave by doing what it can search out to have done to it. What a sentence. That's a pretty solid, you know what? That's a thumbs up right there. Don't mind my stroke, I just lost my place in the script. There's really not much to say here, because if you compliment the design of this card a little bit too much, you're gonna have to deal with the furry allegations. Nobody really wants that, so just be aware. Berfomet, the Great Wings, is the other retrain of Chimera's original fusion materials, and is the level 5 Fiend of which to search off that Gazelle 2.0 we just went over. On normal or special summon, this will add a level 4 Beast and or Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, but activating this effect will lock you into only summoning fusions from the extra deck for the turn. And when it goes to the grave for a fusion summon, it can target and summon one Illusionist monster in your graveyard. Another solid pair of effects, and I can only hope that there'll be a way to summon this out in Archetype, because otherwise that search is like really solid when you ignore it being level 5. Still, as is, that fusion lock is probably more unnecessary than it needs to be. I'm just assuming here this is a Yugi deck. Yugi decks are not meta. I can't name a single instance when a Yugi deck has been like, wow, what a competent threat. Also gotta say that it's crazy that there's no monster on this art. Get it? You can't see me? What a terrible impression. I'm sorry, is this card's name Cornfield Coator? Cornfield. They printed Cornfield. That's our first ever Illusionist type monster. It's Cornfield. Sure. Cornfield here is a level 4 Wind Illusionist with 500 attack and 1700 defense. Once per turn, it can be discarded to add any card that mentions Chimera Fusion from deck to your hand, except for a copy of itself, and it can be banished from your grave while you control Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast to negate the activation and effect of a card or effect that targets a card you control from the opponent, of course. That's not bad, in all honesty. Its only on-field effect is that monsters cannot be destroyed by battles involving this card, which is a weird way of saying that it itself is indestructible by battle, unless you feel inclined to attack with the 500 attack discard material. in which case, you do you. But I am going to judge you for it. What the fuck are you doing? Mirror Swordsman is a level 4 light illusionist type monster with 1900 attack and 300 defense. This one can quick effect tribute itself on field to summon a monster from your deck that mentions Chimera fusion, except for a copy of itself, and its grave effect can banish itself while you control Chimera Mythical Flying Beast to negate an opponent's monster effect on the field. It also has the same effect as Iowa's own Cornfield, namely that monsters cannot be destroyed by battle involving this card. I guess that's the unifying trend of this new archetype series. Pacifists in the battle phase. Exactly when I want them to be pacifists. Great. Really, the only thing that matters here is that it's a Lone Fire plus Balinx in one card. That's not a bad two-piece combo right there. I guess even if all the battles are themselves illusions. Get it? Mom, am I funny yet? This series, like I said, it's not an archetype. It doesn't have any spell or trap referencing it in name, and there's no unifying name. It's even worse off than the Monarch monsters, which aren't technically an archetype, but the spell cards are an archetype because of like how the definitions of archetyping work. The point I'm getting to here is there are two fusion monsters that reference this series of cards that revolve around the elusive Chimera fusion. Chimera the Phantom Beast King is a level 6 Wind Beast fusion with 2100 attack and 1800 defense, and is the clear retrain of Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast. So much so that it even takes the name of Chimera the Mythical Flying Beast while it's on the field and in the grave. And it's always treated as a Phantom Beast card as well, making my joke at the beginning of this video poopy stinky bad, but we're not changing it. It also needs the same materials, technically, or you can use the original materials to make this, or the original King of the Mythical Beast of the Flying Man, Gazelle Man. This needs any fiend and any beast, which one day will make this an absolutely insane super poly target. I'm calling it now. Unpredictable metas? Nah, I'm predicting. But enough nonsense, its effects. If this is fusion summoned, it can activate this effect, that during the end phase you can send one random card from the opponent's hand to the graveyard. And during the opponent's turn, can quick effect banish itself from your grave to target a fiend, beast, or illusionist type monster in your grave and then summon it. So it's got a weaker float of sorts from the original, but also an infinitely better float than the original, because it doesn't have to summon Gazelle and Berfomet. And, you know, it's more chainable, usable to your own wants and needs. It's also the weirdest hand rip effect I've ever seen. They get to keep the hand traps that they have at the beginning of the turn, your opponent does, and use them if they want or can, but during the end of the turn, they still discard it. So it sucks for the opponent because they still start with one less card in their hand, and it sucks for you because this doesn't help keep your board safe from, say, ripping the Luxac Nibiru out of their hand, and also you're still the asshole playing a hand loop strategy. And then there's this asshole. Vaguely dragon-like and 2 swords on the wrists? That's as impractical as it is fucking awesome. Chimera the Illusion Magical Beast is a level 8 Dark Illusionist type fusion with 3100 attack and 2800 defense, and its fusion materials are Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast and 1 or more Illusionist type monsters. Fancy. It also has the perpetration of identity theft. That's not what the script says. It is a perpetrator of identity theft as well, stealing Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast's name on the field and engrave, and is always a Phantom Beast card. As to why you'd want to use multiple fusion materials for this? Well, it gains an extra attack per battle phase per fusion material used for its summon, and at the end of the damage step, any monster it battles has its attack changed to 0 and has its effects negated. This is notable because, like all other illusionist monsters we've seen thus far, it also cannot destroy a monster with a battle involving this card. Is that the illusion? I made the joke earlier, but is it literally the illusion of battle? What a weird gimmick for a deck. And also, it sucks that it negates the effects and reduces the attack at the end of the damage step. you know, after the things like Boral Sword or Avramax can get beefed up, assuming I remember how to properly play this game. Or I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure like there's no situation where Avramax doesn't crash, ignoring the fact that it can't because battle. Either way, it just sucks. It doesn't clear the board. Like, cool, they have no attack and their effects are negated. There's still 4 monsters on board, and hey, would you look at that? I've been access coded for game for the 90th time tonight. And lastly thus far, the spell. Only one, Chimera Fusion. A quick play spell, it can be used during the main phase to fusion summon any fusion monster using materials from your hand or field, including at least a beast and or a fiend. It also has a grave effect that must be used in the main phase to either add itself from your grave back to your hand, or to banish itself to summon 1 copy of Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts, and 1 Berfomet from your deck and or grave. So if you've got 2 of it, you've got like half combo. Just as long as you can get 1 into the graveyard. Foolish Burial Goods is looking pretty playable in this deck, I suppose. And hey, look, modern support for an old series of cards that makes the original cards garnets. That's the one way we know how to do it around here, and I love it. What interests me most is that what are the benefits to making it a quick play? Like, I suppose because the Lone Fire is a quick play and the fusion grave effect to banish and summon out an illusionist or a beast or a fiend. I see that there are ways to make plays on the opponent's turn, but I'm looking at both of the end boss monsters here and you get just quick playing into sword hands that sick, dude. Just wait till the battle phase. Hope you don't read anything and just attack my monsters. Look, when your phrase of your deck aligns with the phrase used by Warrock players, you're probably in for a bad fucking time. That's what I'm gonna get at here and wrap it up with. And that wraps it up for this series of cards here. No spell or trap beyond the single fusion, and a bunch of monsters that are themed through their usage of the spell card itself, Chimera Fusion. It's interesting. I don't know why this has a new type in it. I saw a lot of hype about the new type in practice and people being like, there's a new hype, there's a new type hype, rhyming. And then you read it and it's 3 cards in a Yugi Moto nostalgia bait deck. Cool. I think this deck would be better if it could just stick to fiends and beasts and not shoehorn in a new 3rd type, because then you could at least use a bit more generic beast and fiend and not, you know, be like, no, you want to summon it with a bunch of illusionists, of which there's fucking 2. But whatever. I'm just saying, new type hype, don't get me wrong, I'll clickbait it myself. I'm shameless out here. I'm just saying, it ain't actually that. It's pretty whack. All right. And other than that, it's a goddamn Yugi Moto deck. Okay. It's like, every single card he's used will get an entire deck built around it. That is just an objective fact at this point. So I'm excited for the Marshmallow archetype, but until we get there, this exists. It's pretty schnifty. You can do things with it. The grave effects are all pretty cohesive, you know, protection from targeting and monster effect negation. And there's a lot of ways to tunnel into the Chimera Fusion. I just feel like the end board is essentially a vanilla. So what else needs to be said? It looks cool, and that's the win. And Yugi decks are desperate for wins, so they're gonna take it and run, I guarantee you that. Thanks, as always, to our sponsor, the LIFD Magnetic Display, the best way to support the channel currently, and also a great product. And an even better way to show off the original Chimera, the flying mythical beast, because Lord knows there's no need to put it into the deck, let alone summon it, so why not put it on display? Probably because no one really cares about Chimera, the mythical flying beast, that much. Most of us are just like, yeah, that was a neat card. I preferred like Magnet Warriors. That's pretty much the summary of Chimera, the mythical flying beast, but still you could put any card on display. This is a sponsored segment after all. And you can save yourself 15% by using my promo code or by clicking the link in the description. Thanks as always to LIFD for the support, and thank you for watching. And so that'll wrap it up for today's new card report. Just covering some of the new cards in this one. The regular update will be out on Friday as usual, with at least 2 more this week to come of new card reports, so look forward to that. In the meantime, I've been your host, Craig Fee, and make sure you subscribe to Yugioh Strats for next week's update to impress your smoking Italian wife, and so you too can be a true duelist.